Just look at this f***ing taco meat. Look at it. Yo ho ho Dom Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. My apologies for the creepy intro, but you know what? It's the off season and I need to get you hooked immediately. And if it has to go with my dungy Hawaiian shirt, about 5 buttons down, just to reel you on in, here we are, baby. It's desperation time. As you read that title correctly, today I am going to convince all of you. Actually, I really don't even feel like any of you need convincing at this point. The Buffalo Bills have a major problem at the cornerback situation. I mean, if you were to look at today's depth chart, let's go on ahead and pull this up. We legitimately only have 4 names right now, 2 of which are capable of playing on the outside, and that is, of course, Tre White and then Dane Jackson as well. We all know that Tre White is coming off of an ACL injury, and according to recent reports, we're not even sure if he's going to be available in October, let alone the very beginning of the season. So realistically, if you want to be, let's just say, optimistic, we are only going to be, say that we don't make any moves at all, stuck with Taron Johnson and Siran Neal, who really just work out of the slot. I suppose we could attempt to put them on the outside, probably wouldn't be too hot, and then Dane Jackson. So as of right now, we only have 3 for sure personnel in that position group. Now, don't get me wrong, Brandon Beane is certainly going to address this, but I'm almost curious to see exactly how. Now, since the Stefon Diggs extension, we currently have $8 million worth of cap room at this point. I remember about a week ago, my apologies about this, my dumbass tweeted out saying, "Oh, dude, look at that, man. We have $16 million worth of cap," thinking that I was some Adam Schefter Jr. That turned out to be completely false. SpotTrack just didn't end up updating the entire information. My apologies. In real life, we have $8 million. What are we going to do with that $8 million? With all of the news of Jordan Poyer coming out, are we going to use some of that money to extend him? Or are we going to address the cornerback problem with some free agents that are still out there? And some notable names right now, we're looking at Stefon Gilmore. We have Joe Haden, maybe Kyle Fuller, Chris Harris, Janoris Jenkins, Callahan, Xavier Rhodes, maybe AJ Bouye. The problem with all of these guys is the fact that they are getting up there in age, and a lot of them, in my opinion, would be overpriced and really wouldn't be fitting into the whole Beane and McDermott formula. However, I do feel like that we are going to address this position relatively heavily in the draft, but I still think I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if one of those names that I ended up listing off based out of free agency would actually be on the Bills just for complete depth at this point, because like I said, we really only have 3 healthy people that are able to start on week 1, and training camp hasn't even started yet. So free agency could be something. I could see Brandon Beane going out there and rolling the dice on one of these veterans exclusively for just another body in our depth chart, but I really think that the Bills are going to be focusing heavily on the cornerback situation in the draft. Now, I do plan on actually dropping a video of probably highlighting, I would say, like top 5 to top 10 cornerbacks that I would absolutely love to go after, but the strategy to me is really been head scratching. Really has been. Right now we're looking at the 25th pick, and I've been reading rumors that the Bills are considering to be trading up. There's a couple of trade partners that the Bills could potentially trade with to go after some names like Derek Stingley out of LSU or Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. Let's be honest with ourselves, both of those cornerbacks are probably going to go within the top 15 minimum, and that's being conservative at that point. There's several other names that are great. McDuffie and also Gordon right out of Washington. That could be something that we could potentially move up with marginally. And then say that we don't, there's always Andrew Booth, Roger McCreary, and then Elam out of Florida. But that's if we decide to stay in that 25th spot. In my opinion, those 3 names would be super realistic. But now you have to ask yourself, is Bean going to continue to play conservative like he has in the past? Is before the Von Miller signing, I would have told you, oh yeah, most definitely. He's definitely going to make it conservative. But when you make a move like that, that largely paints the picture that the Buffalo Bills are in the we're winning this whole damn thing this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Bean legitimately sends over like a second and a third round pick to one of those teams in the top 10 so we can get one of those actual game-changing type cornerbacks that can make an impact on this team immediately. So really interested to see how that would play out. Say that we don't make any type of moves. I also wouldn't be surprised if we sort of took something out of our playbook last year and drafted the exact same position in the first 2 rounds by getting a cornerback in the first and getting a cornerback in the second. I definitely understand that a guard is also a position in which we should probably show a little bit of attention to, but in my opinion, if there's any glaring hole on this roster whatsoever, it is hands down the cornerback room. Now, what exactly, if you were the Buffalo Bills GM, how would you tackle this position? Would you go on ahead and just sign a bunch of, just depth players in the cornerback room? Would you just sign a bunch of depth players to add to the roster and then just like heavily hit it in the draft? Would you exclusively focus in the draft for the cornerback situation? Because as I've just recently showed you, the Bills need some serious help when it comes down to it. And I would love to hear your thoughts on how you would go about it. Dom Mafia, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. And before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go Buffalo.